So Dragon's Dogma 2 has an awesome companion system called the PAWNS system, which allows you to have up to 3 AI controlled teammates who will follow you around loyally, helping with combat, helping lead you to your objective when they can. And as you can see in this clip, they can even catch you from falling to your death in the right situation. So today I wanted to completely break down the PAWNS system in Dragon's Dogma 2, explaining everything you need to know about how it all works. Now this is just like Dragon's Dogma 1, there was a PAWNS system in that game as well. And these are essentially, like I said, just a small group of companions that will follow you along on your journey. Now you can actually create your own main pawn in the same way that you can create your own character. You can give them a name and choose their class and everything, and that is completely customizable in essentially the exact same way as creating your own character. Now as for the other 2 pawns though, you can actually hire those throughout the world. You cannot create those, so there is only the main pawn that can be essentially customized. Now, something else that is very, very cool is that your created pawns can actually be used by other players as well in an online format. So the game is single player and can be played fully offline. But for example, you guys could actually hire the pawn that I create and they can come along on your journey too, which is a really cool way to implement the, I guess, community side into a single player game like this. It obviously goes both ways as well. So you guys can also hire them on top of yours being hired too. Now, like I've said in previous videos as well, if you guys do play fully offline, don't worry, there are pre-made pawns that can still be hired throughout the world as well. So you're not going to miss out on any of this if you are a completely offline player and you have no internet connection. You do not have to be connected to the internet to play this game. The only difference is it just means you can't hire, like my pawn, for example, you'll have to use the pre-made ones that come from the developers. Now, something very interesting to know about that whole, I guess, online system as well is that if your pawn is constantly being used by other players over and over, they can actually contract a disease known as Dragon's Plague. However, rather than being weakened, this actually makes them stronger, but they also become a little bit more bold in their speech and their behaviors. It also says on the Capcom website that according to folklore, when the symptoms of Dragon's Plague reach a terminal stage, it will result in devastating calamity, but the veracity of those claims is unclear. So that last part is obviously very vague. We don't really know what that is going to mean in terms of, do they die when they get used too much, or do they turn evil or something like that? It says devastating calamity, so that sounds like it is pretty damn serious, but we don't actually know as of right now. It is definitely going to be pretty damn fun though to see how that side of it unravels. Now, it is definitely pretty interesting there because when it says they contract a disease, that sounds like a bad thing. But like I said, this actually makes them stronger. So if your pawns are getting used over and over, for example, if there's like a big YouTuber who's just everyone's using their pawn, that means that they're going to be stronger. Their pawn anyway is going to be stronger. And to me, that is definitely a really cool way to kind of just implement that community aspect. I remember it was a similar system in, for example, Elden Ring, where people could leave messages for other players. And so you weren't actually playing multiplayer with anyone. It was a completely single player game, but it did feel like there was that like online community aspect to it. And to me, that made the game even more enjoyable. So hopefully it's the same as this. And to be honest, this actually sounds even better than it was in Elden Ring, because that was essentially just leaving messages for other players. Now, before we go any further, if you guys are interested in more Dragon's Dogma 2 content and you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. There is so much more content on the way. We're doing daily content in the lead up to launch, and we have been doing so for around a week now. So there's already plenty of content on the channel and there is plenty more to come. So make sure you don't miss out. Now, pawns also have a very intelligent AI system. And what that means is that they actually learn from you and change their playstyle over time. Now, the example that I've heard of this is that if you're, not very good at the game early on and you're still trying to, I guess, figure out the combat, it leads to you, say, constantly using your healing potions. Well, your pawn and even multiple pawns might actually learn that as a trait, and then they themselves will constantly spam those potions too, even if they maybe don't need to, because as far as they're aware, that is what their leader, aka you, is doing. That's what they need to be doing, and therefore they will learn that off you. So that means that they will obviously constantly be full on HP, which is kind of a good thing. It means you won't have to revive them and heal them and stuff. but it will also mean they're going to run out of resources a little bit quicker. That is obviously just one example of how they can learn, but they can learn in plenty of different ways, both positive and negative. All of the positive stuff you're doing, they will eventually learn that. And if you're, doing anything negative like that, for example, spamming your health potions and running out of resources, well, they will actually copy you, because as far as they're aware, that is what they're meant to be doing. They're just following their leader. And I think that is a really, really cool system. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what people come up with in terms of what they want to teach their pawns and essentially build their team around. Now, something else that is very helpful with these pawns too is that there is not that many quest markers in the game. In fact, I believe there is essentially no quest markers at all. We just have to kind of find where we're going. But sometimes pawns will actually know the way depending on what the quest is, and they can like lead you to it rather than just having to find the way yourself. So they are more helpful than just being there in combat. Obviously, the main reason that they're going to be helpful is helping you fight, especially those more difficult enemies, fighting dragons and all that kind of stuff. It will definitely be handy to have 3 extra buddies with you helping you out, but they do actually offer a little bit more than that, which is pretty interesting as well. Something else I've seen, which I did mention at the start of the video too, is that you can even see in this clip here where the player falls to what would obviously be their death, and their pawn actually catches them and saves that character's life. So that is pretty damn awesome to see. That is just one example. I'm sure there's actually plenty of other stuff they can do like that. And like I said, overall, the AI systems in this game seem to be super, super intelligent. From what I've heard from both the developers and also a lot of the people who got to play the game early, this is some of the most advanced, if not the single most advanced AI that we've ever seen in any video game ever. Now, your pawns can also have certain specializations that can help out a lot on top of all the stuff that I've already mentioned. For example, your pawn can actually help you translate Elvish, which you otherwise can't do unless, of course, you are Elvish yourself. And that is just one example of many. There's plenty of different specializations they're going to have. They're also going to have their actual vocation too. So some of your pawns can be archers, some could be mages. You can have a varying crew, or you can have a bunch of people running around with all the same vocations. And so there is going to be plenty of different ways to combine not only the specializations that I mentioned, like being able to translate Elvish, but also just those vocations in general. And it's going to be pretty cool to see what people come up with in terms of what is kind of the meta build for your pawns, I guess you would say. Leading into the game, I just kind of thought I would pick like the coolest characters that I just wanted to come with me, but there may actually be like a meta build that is the most useful or the most all-rounded or whatever the case may be. So it's going to be fun to see how that unfolds, and you can definitely expect to see some content focusing on stuff like that once the game actually arrives. Overall though, I think the pawn system is a great implementation into this game. Like I said, it was already in Dragon's Dogma 1, but they have just advanced it a little bit. It seems like it is adding a sense of like multiplayer and community into the game as well, like I mentioned, with being able to use other people's pawns, all the while being still a genuine single player game. You don't need to have online elements when it comes to games like this, but I feel like when they do stuff like this, or what I mentioned earlier with Elden Ring, for example, it really does add to the quality of the game, and it makes it just that little bit more memorable. So anyway, that is everything you need to know about the pawn system in Dragon's Dogma 2. Plenty of other in-depth content to check out as well, guys, so be sure to go and check out the previous content we've done. And like I said, be sure to subscribe with those notifications on, because there is still daily content on the way in the lead up to launch, and no doubt after launch as well. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.